Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review IO. And I'm starting to try to get into staying up on Netflix films and reviewing them for my channel as well. So doing a little expansion, which means that there's a lot of videos coming your way this weekend because I tried to catch up on, I wanted to at least give myself like a starting point, and it's what started in 2019, and there's been quite a few films released by Netflix already in 2019, including this science fiction film. This was directed by Jonathan Halpert, and it's starring Margaret Qualley and Anthony Mackie, and this film really starts off setting up a film about this young woman in isolation on Earth once most of Earth left. It's really hitting on, it has Martian vibes where she's like living on her own for a little while, and then Interstellar vibes where like we're destroying our planet and trying to find places elsewhere. And for the first like third of this film, I thought it really worked in terms of like this more silent, introspective kind of survival sci-fi, and it was silent and contemplative, and the cinematography was pretty gorgeous, and you really feeling connected with Margaret Qualley's character Sam as she's like taking care of herself, trying to make big decisions for herself. And then this film takes an interesting twist when Anthony Mackie shows up, and for a while it seems like there could be a lot of different things that could be potentially going on with his character and what he's bringing to the story. So there was some intrigue. So like for the first half of this film, I'm pretty interested. And then honestly, this film kind of loses me, and I think the biggest issue with this film is the writing and not really having a focus on what this film was going to be about, because if it was going to stick with this tough decision with a bigger thematic scope of us destroying our planet and us trying to find new worlds or trying to save our planet and the human spirit, because that's the big thing about this film, is dealing with the human spirit and having hope. And I feel like that's a really good theme and a solid theme to have, and I feel like they hit on that theme well enough. But the main focus of the plot of this film, I think, there's not enough focus on what it exactly wants to be, and then they drop romance and a budding relationship in it, and I'm kind of just like, why? I'm like, why are you losing me at this point? And that really didn't work for me because I didn't really buy it, and I'm just like, why is this film going this way? Because they had a lot more interesting things about Anthony Mackie's character, Micah, when he comes into this film. And honestly, when you get towards more of a climax of this film, there's a lot more interesting things to think about in terms of his character, but they decide to focus on more of a romance and this budding relationship between these two instead of a conflict, and it really didn't work for me. The story didn't sell it to me, and it made me really, really lose interest in the latter half of this film. I feel like this film was wasted potential because there was a lot of cool ideas. Obviously, at this point, it kind of felt like the Oblivion idea. And what I mean by that is there's a film, Oblivion, with Tom Cruise in it. And I really enjoy it as a sci-fi film on its own, but when you take a step back, it just feels like a jerry-rigged bunch of pieces of other science fiction films put together, and nothing super original. And there's all these different ideas that are really cool, but it's like, I know because I could pick out where each of these cool ideas came from. This film had that going, and there's a lot of cool ideas where it's never going to really sum up to like a greater film out of all of the sum of its greater parts. And at least this film had that potential, but this didn't even hit that Oblivion level because I feel like the film kind of loses itself on what it wants to focus on, and what it decides to focus on is probably one of the least interesting choices it could have made. And overall, I think technically this is a beautiful film, and I'm surprised by what Netflix was able to do with this film. And honestly, I kind of wish that I got to see this on a bigger screen because of how it looked and the design and everything about this film. This film potentially had a lot to say, and it did say some things, and I felt like thematically worked on some level. But overall, I think it was a bit of a miss. it's easier for me to recommend things on Netflix because it's like if you have Netflix, you could just watch it. Is it worth your time? If you really, really want to check it out, go check it out. This isn't something that you should add to the top of your watch list. Let's just put it that way. But let me know what you think if you watched it, or if you have any other concerns, comment. Let me know what you think, what you want to know. And thank you as always for supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.